Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today joining us at Rotherham Golf Club on a beautiful morning where we're going to be reviewing the new Bettinardi Antidote putter, and you're going to want to stick around for this one because you will not believe what happens when we put it in the revealer. So I think what's a little bit special about this Bettinardi SB1 is it's definitely a blend between being a little bit more traditional looking but incorporating zero torque technology. And if you don't know what zero torque technology is, it's designed to make the club face stay squarer to your path during your stroke, which I'm personally a massive admirer of. And to be quite honest, I can't think of any reasons why I'd want to go to, more of a traditional putter these days. In fact, the last couple of putters I've had in my bag have both been zero torque. But the difference with this one is it's more traditional looking. I've gone for the bigger mallet heads because I wanted the most forgiveness, but I can't wait to test what the forgiveness is like in this sort of more traditional putter, because I know there's probably a lot of people that's holding off going to zero torque because they don't like the bigger looking mallet heads. It's quite fair to say before I started using a Lab DF3, before I started using an Axis 1, they're not the kind of heads that I would have gone into. But once I tested them and I actually realised how nice they rolled, and I could genuinely feel the zero torque. I know a lot of people laugh when I say that, but I genuinely could feel the benefit. And then the results started to come, and the head shapes grew on me. But I think there'll be a lot of people that you probably, no matter how good the technology is in zero torque putters, they're just going to want a good looking putter. And I think this is where this putter definitely ticks the box. So let's get testing. So no matter how good a putter looks and how much technology is in it, one of the things you can't overlook is feel. So I've got quite a long lag putt here. This is where we're going to start to get a feeling of how soft or how firm is this putter, because you've really got to marry up the feel of the putter with the greens that you're playing on. Out here in the UK, although we get quite fast greens in the summer, we do get slow greens in the winter, so we have to go for something that's a little bit more responsive. And it might not be the case if you're somewhere a little bit warmer. It's quite a long putt. I mean, I would say that's a little bit softer than I expected, because it's a metal sort of mallet compact head. For some reason I expect it to be a little bit more quicker off the face, and it's actually quite a soft feel, which is obviously not a bad thing. It's just going to take me a little bit more adapting to, because with my Axis 1 I would say that's a little bit more firmer feel. One thing I do like when I'm looking down at this is the like T-shape. It's got like a nice alignment on the face to help you square it, and then a line on the back. As I say, I'm just struggling to get these there at the minute, because one of the things that I don't do when I'm reviewing a putter is warm up with them. I like to sort of test them straight out the wrapper, so I've got no sort of outside influences. I've not sort of warmed up into the putter. I can really give you a real feeling, my initial thoughts when I pick it up. And my initial thought is that it's softer than I were expecting. Right, I've got to trust this one, and trust that if I get that little bit more, it's not necessarily going to go miles through the green. Come on, we can get it there. It is a long putt. Obviously be a good 2-putt. That were a little bit longer stroke, because it runs away after flag. If you've played on this green, you'll know as soon as you get to the flag it runs away. So I'm a little bit sort of scared of knocking it past, but I'm certainly building up a feel for it now. I mean, consistency wise, they're all quite consistent in length, I've just got to be able to get the judgment of weight a little bit better. It's going to be exactly the same. I just can't bring myself to hit it that little bit more. So I'm laughing to myself because I don't know how to emphasize enough how soft it felt, but not soft enough that you can't get the distance. You know, obviously they're a couple of feet short, but it's nothing that I couldn't adapt into, but it's just softer than you would expect. You know, for obviously a metal putter, you'd expect it to feel a bit harsher, to probably be a bit more hollow feeling, but there's just something about it. It just feels really nice. So what I'm loving about this putter, because it is quite minimalistic from the top, once you've actually got it square, which it's easy enough to do because you've got that lovely T shape, there's not much more to focus on then. You've just got to let the putter have a little bit of freedom, and I think that's the best way to putt as well, is get square and then let the putter go. I think one of the biggest things that's hindered me over the years, and I see it hinder a lot of sort of mid and high handicap golfers, they get these putters that are really busy with alignment on top, and then they become very over controlling of the stroke, and they're trying to manipulate the club head, and you can never put your best doing that. There is something to be said for just having enough alignment that you can square up to your start line and then put with freedom, and that's definitely what this putter's allowing me to do. That one were a little bit negative, that stroke. I didn't quite, you know, accelerate it, but because I kept that club face square to my path, we still hold it. And a lot of people say, like, when they test these putters, they can't feel the technology. We had my mate test a Zero Torque, he couldn't feel it. I tell you when you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it after you've had one of these in the bag for a few months, and then you pick a traditional up. Trust me, I've done it myself. Picked up sort of an Answer, Scotty Cameron, and the heads feel all over because you become like reliant on having a bit lighter grip, on letting the putter do the work, not having to sort of like manipulate the putter. And then as soon as you get that same feeling with a traditional putter, it's going to feel all over the place. Do you know what? Them last two were a bit negative, and I've still hold them. Maybe that's getting used to that softer feeling face. I'm not kind of there with it yet. Now, I know you're all thinking, guys, get it in that revealer. We want to see what happens when you put in that revealer, but we've got one more test to do, and that's because this is a centre shafted putter, and being a bit more traditional shaped, I want to see how forgiving it is towards the toe and the heel. That would be my only worry with this one, is because it's not a mallet shape, and obviously I would say there's a little bit more less forgiveness in this. If you hit off centre, how forgiving is it actually going to be? Right, let's start by hitting it towards the toe. If I put that ball here, there's no way I can hit it out the centre. I can only hit it from the toe. How's it going to feel? Obviously, Bettinardi also do a mallet putter. I did want to test this one though, because it's the first sort of traditional putter I've tested. I've not tried the like Lab Link one or anything like that. But in fairness, I actually love the look of this a lot more. I think if I were buying a traditional sort of Zero Torque putter, this would be more my preference in terms of looks. Tell you what, that felt solid. It actually felt a better contact than when I hit it out the middle. I think I would expect it to feel like slower, or you know, like just like it was not as good, and it just felt absolutely solid. Got that out of the toe. I tell you what, that felt fantastic. If you were to use a centre shaft in a traditional putter, there's no way that you will get that same balance. Absolutely no chance at the toe. Try heel. I think with it being like a centre shaft that's so close to the face, I think it'd be so difficult for you to actually miss the centre of the face anyway, because with the shaft being in the centre, it looks so odd me like lining up at the heel and toe. I think you'd have to be kind of blind. But if you do strike one there by accident, it's not too detrimental. It doesn't feel like it's twisting, it don't feel like it's losing sort of pace or... That's crazy, honestly. I can't believe how far I struck that at the heel and still got a pure roll. So with zero torque, when you spin this putter, it won't return to any particular place. It'll always be random. And no other zero torque or low torque putter apart from Lab has worked in this revealer. So when we stroke it, is it going to stay square? Absolutely. It's the first putter other than Lab that actually stays square to path in the revealer. That's incredible.
Incredible.
It's a breakthrough. I think that's the first brand that's...
Yeah, it is.
That's matched Lab.
Yeah.
So the Bettinardi Antidote putter, I think probably the nicest looking traditional zero torque putter on the market. It feels lovely, but most importantly, it's the first putter other than Lab to stay square to path in the revealer. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and I'll see you in a couple of days' time. Bye.